Welcome back in here to Leading Edge. I'm Jeff Smith. When Bryan Blair took over as athletic director at the University of Toledo, his vision was about more than just the university. It was about the community and the region and how UT could be this ultimate partner. So, Team Toledo. Let's dive in, and for people who don't know, what is it? From where did this idea come? From where does it go from here?
Yeah, well, I think one of the things I initially noticed, even before I got the job, as I was researching the opportunity, was all the amazing opportunity in the city. If you talk about Epic Toledo, or you talk about the Regional Growth Partnership, you talk about the Mud Hens, the Walleye, all the local businesses that are in the community, our living alumni within such a close radius, our proximity to so many major cities. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, and you're like, wow, Toledo is a special place. You cannot recreate this city other places. So we'll throw out strategies, we'll do things in the athletic department, but our competitors can't recreate the city.
Are you talking simply where we are on the map, or what this place has to offer?
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
A little bit of both. I think our proximity to Detroit, or the Detroit International Airport, or Columbus, or Cleveland, or Chicago, all make a difference, right? And I think those are pockets for recruiting. I think those are pockets for business opportunities. I think it just brings a lot of fan base and a lot of population centers close to what we're trying to do.
So what I'm hearing is people, the developers around town, the real estate execs who are touting the crossroads of America, UT's doing it too.
I buy into that. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, because what I saw on video and all my research showed me that's the case. And it's not only that I believe it, I see it in our stands. I see us from an attendance standpoint. I see us from a business opportunity standpoint. Those opportunities are real. So when you talk about our business community and its population and how much they love sports, I think that's special to Ohio.
Yeah.
Ohio probably only similar to Texas, maybe in terms of the passion at a high school level and up in terms of intercollegiate sports. That's something to build on.
You had a meeting of the minds here a couple of months ago where you brought in some of our local leaders and business heads who you wanted to pick their brains, basically. Talk about that a little bit. What that meeting, what were the fruits of that meeting, and how often do you get together with these individuals? Yeah. Why did you want them to come in?
Well, the power of the Team Toledo that we just talked about is you've got this really special city, you've got this really special university, and you've got what I believe is a special athletic department. If we link together and share thoughts, share ideas, and pull in the same direction towards a shared vision, special can happen. And so that meeting that day was really to bring in all these stakeholders from all these different pockets, including our student athletes, including some students and faculty on campus, and say, hey, what should Toledo athletics be? What can we be more of? What should we be less of? What ideas do you have for the future? But also educate them a little bit about the changing environment of college athletics and all that we're facing nowadays, that the way we did things 5-10 years ago may not be the way we can do them going forward. So a really good meeting of the minds, a lot of education, a lot of ideas exchanged. And so we'll do that once a year. We'll do an annual retreat where we focus on the strategy of this athletic department, but also how we can serve the city and this university, because we're going to announce some big plans this fall in terms of our future direction, from not only a vision standpoint, but from a facility standpoint, just a new way of doing things. Yeah. So really excited about the fruits of that labor early on in May, leading to what we're headed towards.
Besides the excitement around a team that does well and the graduates who stay here, you don't experience brain drain. How does a university, how does Team Toledo help the efforts to revitalize the city, to revitalize the community? Maybe where some have done in the past and maybe will not in the future. Does Toledo take the ball from here and run to the goal line? Yeah,
to me, I think the city and the university are sitting on a gold mine in terms of our athletic department, because of the civic pride and the university pride that we can help instill. When we have success, I hope that regardless of whether you attended Toledo or not, you have pride in your city, in your community, and we represent that in a big way and can represent that in an even bigger way going forward. There are very few things that can bring 25,000 people together, all screaming and representing that name of a city across your chest. We can do that. And so the more we can lean in that direction and make people proud and excited about the city they live in, I think the better for all of us.
Do you remember, and I'm going to put you on the spot, do you remember any of the ideas specific to the city that came in, not necessarily things we can do better within the confines of Dorr, Secor, and Bancroft?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the big outcomes was talking about how we can better engage our business community. I mean, we've got more businesses here than almost any MAC schools ever even thought about having in their local proximity. We've got student athletes that need need internships, they need mentorship. How can we bring those two together? And in turn, I think those businesses will lean back into the university. So there's a huge opportunity there to cross-collaborate and get our student athletes real life experience where hopefully they ultimately decide to live in Toledo upon graduation, but then also bring those businesses closer to our athletic department, because the revenue and the outcomes from that will be really helpful as we try to grow going forward.
Reciprocity almost.
Yes.
Talk about the, I guess, the partnership that exists between academia and athletics, because I came from I went to Indiana University. There were professors on that campus who hated Bob Knight in the time that I was there, had thought basketball did nothing for the university. I don't get that feeling from the University of Toledo. I think it's a big buy-in there on the campus, is it?
Yeah, well, I think on every college campus, you've got some athletics naysayers. I think that's just everywhere I've ever worked, you've got that. But by and large, I think we've got a campus that understands from a recruitment standpoint the exposure we provide, but then also the engagement standpoint, to be a part of the retention strategy for students to come to our stadiums and spend 2-3 hours yelling their face off and going crazy with their best friends. I hope they meet their future spouse there. We had a wedding engagement on our field this past year. I mean, those are the type of memories we want our students to foster, because we want them to come have fun.
I could see Love Connection Weekend coming up at one of the University of Toledo football games.
On the 10-yard line, it was amazing.
Stay right there. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the plans for the future for the University of Toledo. And I mean, we're just a few weeks away. You already told me, you're like, I'm already thinking about, we're only a few weeks away from the start of football season. What the fall holds, what the future holds for the University of Toledo. Stay with us. Welcome back here on Leading Edge. Bryan Blair, Athletic Director of the University of Toledo, joining us today. We wanted to talk a little bit about the future plans. And you and I were talking about, I said, having grown up here, see Bancroft, see Douglas, see Secor and Dorr, and you think to yourself, man, what more can they do? You said there's a lot of possibilities still on that land.
Yeah, I think we've got to think creatively. We've got some of the better facilities in the Mid-American Conference. We're really proud of that fact. But what you know about athletics, higher education, or any industry, if you're standing still, you're going to get passed. So we've really got to focus on how do we enhance what we already have, but think about building new in some spaces too. It's been no secret to anybody I've talked to that we want to get baseball, softball back on the campus. They're out on the Scott Park campus. I really want them there on that in terms of our general footprint for athletics. We want to look at the Glass Bowl and Savage. What enhancements from a fan-facing standpoint need to be made so we can offer a better fan experience. Maybe something you can't see anywhere else. So we've got some plans there.
How much? Let me stop you there. Go back to the Team Toledo meeting and some of the questionnaires or comments that you get from not only the business leaders but also the public and the facilities that exist. Obviously, I remember Centennial Hall. I remember what it was. So what has happened with Savage Arena has been amazing. The Glass Bowl, when you look at that, it is an iconic structure for this city. What is being asked of that specifically? I don't want you to give out any secrets, but what could you do? What have you seen on other campuses in your vast knowledge that could potentially be there for UT?
Yeah, well, I think we want to look at a driveway-to-driveway experience. From the time you leave your driveway to the time you go back to your driveway, what does that look like? How can we enhance every single section of that? From concessions to seats to our restrooms, how does everything look, and does it entice you to want to come to a game versus watching it on TV? We need to look at that. I think what we got from those surveys and those conversations was, one, how can we increase the number of outside events that we host? The Glass Bowl is an iconic venue. We use it 6 times a year for football games, and then a handful of other times for high school games or graduations or the like. We need to increase that number. I mean, ideally, I'd love for it to be a 24-hour, 365 building that we host all kind of events, entertainment, concert, whatever venue. To me, it should be the #1 outdoor entertainment venue in Northwest Ohio. The bones are there. We've got to program it as such and make sure it's a facility that can hold such. And as we think about our other facilities, how do we use that to serve the community? I think there's a tremendous need for turf space in the city, a tremendous need for indoor spaces. We talked about baseball tournaments. We want to host all that on the university's campus.
By the way, I got to go back to something, and I think a bunch of people in Waterville just fell off their chairs, the ones who don't want an amphitheater out there. But you just said, I think this can be the premier concert facility for the university and Northwest Ohio.
Absolutely.
You truly believe that?
We hold 28,000 people right now in the lower bowl, in the bowl in general.
Yeah.
When you think about also
this seems dumb.
on the turf.
Why hasn't this happened?
I can't answer that question. but I think you got a venue that holds 25 plus just in the stands alone.
Yeah.
When you think about seating on the turf and what that could turn into, and I think that's what you see at a lot of other places. I know the Horseshoe, they do a country music series. I know Boise State just had a huge country music concert down in their venue. I mean, we've got to utilize that venue more. And whether it's concerts, whether it's movies, whether it's roller derby, I don't care. We need more people, more bodies, more visibility in that football stadium.
And it's about revenue as well, correct?
Yeah, well, there's no secret. We need more money because we want to pour that back into our student-athlete experience.
Right.
As we talk about scratching the surface and winning more and doing more, well, that takes resources. In this challenging climate with more demands than ever, we've got to find unique ways to generate more revenue. I think utilizing the Glass Bowl to its utmost potential is a big piece of that.
I interrupted you, and you were talking about the landlocked, the presumption that UT is landlocked. You said no, there is more availability on that campus. There is more space to do stuff. You and I specifically talked about some of the areas that may not have been touched in the past. Are there discussions about that?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at all our spaces and thinking, how can we be more creative? How can maybe fresh eyes to the situation alter what was maybe planned before and reimagine it? On our campus, we certainly have a footprint that we're within, but we also have some grass fields and some other vacant properties that you can look at and say, hey, what would it look like if we reimagine that? If we reimagine in a really efficient fashion, too. I think sometimes we build on spaces just to build up the space, but when you've got a defined footprint, what can you fit within that that serves your needs? We've only got a handful of sports right now that are off campus, and that's baseball and softball. Getting them to campus and then finding ways to support the rest of our student athletes is not as big of a physical challenge as it is thinking the right way, pulling the right way, and fundraising the right way, quite frankly.
Talk a little bit as we get a little bit closer to the end of the show and get a little bit closer to the start of football season. What should folks expect in the fall? Yeah,
I'm really excited about this fall. We reimagined our entire football experience from soup to nuts to really say, okay, what does it look like to be a Toledo football fan? So for the diehards, they're going to load us a lot of new things, from a team intro, from our promotions, from everything else. They're going to really jump in. But I think the thing I'm most excited about is really focusing on our students at the university. Our students, when they're engaged in our game, they bring the noise, they bring the energy, and they entice everybody else in the stadium to get on their feet and cheer. So we're actually going to do some really creative things with our students, from moving their tailgate lot to bringing them inside the stadium and dedicating an entire quarter to them. Our plan is to treat our student section like our 17th sport. We've got 16 sports, they're number 17. And when they bring it to all our different venues, our athletes notice and our opponents notice as well. So we're doing a lot of things for all our fans. Really excited about the creativity we put together. Can't wait to roll it out.
And of course, as you said, 6 home dates to play with, and you've got to build it up that week leading into it. You've got to build it up huge.
Yeah, so we've got to do the scheduling gods. They gave us 4 home games in September. So on the downside, you got 4 games in September. On the positive side, it should be amazing football weather to knock those out and get those done in succession. And looking at our schedule, looking at our opponents, and looking at that team Jason Candles put together, I think we've got a really good chance for an amazing fall.
Bryan Blair, we appreciate your time as always. Thank you, sir. Good luck this fall.
Thank you.